Hey, deserving listeners, 90 Day Fiancé, let's watch. As I always say, every episode that I make may contain triggering material. So watch with care. Let's watch.
한국어로 면목이었기 때문에 굉장히 미안한 감정 때문에.
So we see another piece of evidence pointing towards Jihoon's way of coping with shame or with difficulty is to avoid. They're at dinner. Deavan is coming with the kids. And Jihoon and Deavan have been having a lot of troubles. The last time they talked, Deavan said, I think we're done. I'm going back to the States soon, and our relationship is over. And so he has a lot of shame, and he's been crying a lot and really hates himself. And when Deavan arrives, what Deavan is hoping for is that he will greet her nicely. But he avoids because he doesn't want to face the shame. It's too much pain for him. And of course, what that causes is more reason that she will shame him, which gives him more reasons to avoid, and the vicious cycle continues.
내 돈이 엄마의 은행 계좌로 들어가요.
엄마한테 돈 맡긴 돈은 그 무슨 돈이야?
그냥 그 중국폰 관두고 빚 다 갚고 남은 돈들 그냥 엄마한테.
하면 이제 실수를 한 것 같아. 자기는 애기 낳고 병원비도 돈이 필요한 건데, 응? 그건 미안하다고 사과를 하고.
So another data point pointing towards dependent personality, maybe he's mostly dependent on his mom. He has identified his mom as the main person who he needs to depend on. And instead of saving his own money, he believes that he will squander it. So he has to give it to her so that she can take care of it because he doesn't believe he will use it wisely. And maybe he wouldn't. So it's just another part of the picture pointing at a possible conceptualization of dependent personality between Jihoon and his parents.
내가 또 실수를 할까봐, 내가 그 돈을 또 낭비를 할까봐.
I'll make another mistake. I'll waste that money again.
Translator getting worst situation.
I apologize.
Yeah, I feel for them. It's very frustrating when you're trying to talk about something very important and you're not able to communicate. We see Jihoon often getting angry at the translator. And I'll tell you, as a therapist, I've worked with translators in session before with clients that I couldn't communicate with otherwise. And even that can be very frustrating to have a human being translating and doing it very well. It's just really hard to communicate about important things. With a translator, you can order a hamburger or you can ask, where's the nearest bathroom pretty easily. But to communicate about important issues like this is very difficult through a translator.
You tricked me.
넌 날 속였어.
My life is ruined now.
넌 내 인생이 이제 망쳐졌어.
This isn't a joke. I don't want to do this. They think it's a joke. I don't want to do this.
So I think it's a lot of miscommunication. I don't think the mom thinks of it as a joke. I think the mom has an interesting personality. I didn't show all the clips, but there seems to be some kind of role taking in the parents where the dad is the nice one and the mom is the mean one or something. I'm not quite sure. But I understand where Deavan's coming from. She is trying to get some kind of plan. Her main question was, why is the money in the mom's account? Why aren't you spending the money? And the parents are like, why aren't you spending the money on her? Why is it in the mom's bank account? Tell her that. And he's trying to, and it's not working. It's just a frustrating situation.
I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not comfortable with yelling.
장난 같다고? Am I joke? I'm not joke. I'm real serious. More than Deavan. 너 그냥 미국 가라.
Interesting. I don't think I've seen this side of him. It's a bit of an escalation in his mood, a bit of a meltdown, if you will, or a temper tantrum. And he's upset. He's frustrated with he seems to get very frustrated, very impatient when he can't communicate well, which I can kind of relate to, honestly. And he is getting rejected a lot. He is trying to make things work. He's being humiliated, and he's now walking off, which doesn't bolster our opinion of his ability to act like an adult.
아니, 당신 뭘 이해 잘못 알고 있는 것 같아. 그거 아니라니까.
뭐가 아니에요. 아니긴 거짓말을 했다는 거잖아. 지훈이가 거짓말을
아니,
했고.
얘는 단지
근데 당신 좀 빠져줄래? 난 내가 하고 싶은 얘기 다 하고 싶어. 당신 좀 빠져줘.
혼자 해.
네, 나가요.
All right, interesting. I'm always grateful when the show gives us information on the parents and possibly the upbringing of the individuals that we are trying to conceptualize. Jihoon was raised by these parents, and we're seeing a little bit more about the parents. We were starting to see that the mother seems to be more on the cold side, and the dad seems to be more on the warm side. And we see now that the mom, and I don't think we've ever seen this before on any of the couples, where they're talking and one of the cast members is like, I need you to leave because I want I want to be able to say whatever I want to say, and I can't stand you right now. And she just commands him to leave, and he's like, okay, and he leaves. And she says, yeah, get out of here. So what could we extrapolate from this? Not a lot, but we could speculate that the mom has a very domineering parenting style or domineering way about her, not only with her husband, but with her son. So two types of parenting will contribute to the possibility of developing dependent personality spectrum, which I've been hypothesizing that Jihoon might suffer from. One is anxious parenting, and the other is domineering parenting. Some people are both, but the mom seems to be exhibiting at least some capacity for dominance and control and coldness, and being in control of other people and being aggressive verbally or something. And if we were to extrapolate on that, which it's hard to do, but it's possible that as Jihoon was being a child, that the mom was on the cold side, not because we've seen that too when Jihoon was crying. The mom was like, stop crying, men don't cry, and shaming him for crying at one of the worst times that he's had in a while, I think. So being cold, imagine Jihoon is 3, she's being cold, and then being dominant over him. Well, what that does to people is, one, it doesn't give children a chance to develop a sense of who they are, a sense of their emotions and their needs and their self-esteem. But it also means that the child has this frequent notion that's being drilled into their head that there's something wrong with them. Because the dominant person will often shame them or saying, you're doing it wrong, look at you, you're screwing it up, stop that, get away from me, that kind of thing. And the kid believes like there's something wrong with me. I don't just do bad behavior occasionally. Actually, I am the wrong thing. I don't make mistakes. I am the mistake. I don't fail at things. I am the failure. And I'm being treated that way, and so I must be that way. And when you believe, and you rinse and repeat that enough times, and you believe that you're a failure, you believe you're incompetent, you believe that whenever you try to do anything that requires a little bit of competence, someone's going to come by and say that you're screwing it up, they're going to criticize you, or they're going to take over or something. Then you can be a 30-year-old adult and still believe that, and then as a way of coping with that, you avoid any aspect of putting that to the test because you know that you're going to fail at it, and then you procrastinate while trying to get your attachment needs met, and that's when you lie to Deavan and incur the vicious cycle there. So I'm speculating from a very little bit of information, but I will say this is an interesting scene, and it gives us a glimpse into what the parents were like as Jihoon was growing up.
Were you not thinking about me when spending money when I was pregnant, asking you to save money to help me?
I was being selfish, spend money for only me.
Why? That's all I want to know is why.
Good. They've reached this point instead of being in the accusation phase, which is, I think, understandable for Deavan. She's reached this point of, okay, why? You're good at taking responsibility, which is great. You're not evading. You're admitting you did all these things. Why did you do it? I wish they had a therapist with them, because that's an important question that requires someone that understands personality and relational traumas. I don't know if the two of them understand that, because most people don't. But let's see how this conversation goes.
Because long distance, I didn't take it seriously.
I don't ever want to talk to you again.
So that's possible. That's why he did it, that he wasn't taking it seriously. But I don't think that's actually the foundation of what is happening. I think that's one way of putting it. What I think is happening, as I've said before, is that he believes he's a screw-up, and so he avoids any question mark as to whether or not he is a screw-up or not by avoiding a career, by avoiding saving money, by avoiding thinking about it, and just pushes the can, kicks the can down the road, hoping that everything will work out for him when he knows that he'll screw up anyway. And so in this moment, I think he's trying to take responsibility by saying, I didn't take you seriously. That's why I didn't save money while you were suffering and raising a child. Because I don't think he understands. Most people don't. Most dependent people don't understand why they're that way. Personality disorders are such that people believe it's true. They believe, no, I am a failure. I mean, that's a fact. I know that a million times over. I am a failure. They don't question, maybe I have a misperception of myself and other people. Similar with like borderline, for example. They believe often that, no, people will abandon me. I'm not a good person, and relationships will always fail me. It's just going to happen, and no one's ever going to love me. No one ever loves anyone the way I love them. The world is crap, or whatever it is. The conclusion is that they have, and they believe it 100% because of the way they were raised. That schema was developed when they were 2 years old, 4 years old. The neurons are such that it just feels natural. Like the way, as an analogy, when I think about certain things that are just natural to me, like taking a hike in the woods is just a good thing to do. Of course it is, you know? And if someone were to question that, I'd be like, what are you talking about? Going for a walk in the woods is delightful. But why do I believe that? Well, it's because whenever I go for a walk in the woods, it's usually I'm on vacation or it's after work and I'm enjoying myself and it's a good time. But someone else could come along and say, like, whenever I've walked in the woods, I've been assaulted. So for them, walking in the woods is completely different. And each person is right given their experience of the situation. And we experience the self from a very early age, and we experience other people from a very early age, and we develop working models of each. And it's unfortunate to see this work out, because I do believe that Jihoon actually does love her a lot, and what he's running into is his personality problem, not a problem of love or the amount of love.
Don't ever talk to me again. Apparently my pregnancy was not serious. He obviously doesn't love me. I feel like everything I believed to be true is all a lie. He never cared. He never took it seriously. I just feel broken.
Right. And I don't blame Deavan for having that conclusion at all. There's really no other data proving otherwise. But I see a lot of evidence that he loves her and a lot of evidence that he cares and really wants to make this work. So I think it's a big misunderstanding, and I think he misunderstands himself, which is typical to people with personality issues.
Okay, where?
Right now. It's not necessarily about having this money. It's about knowing he's not lying. And I need him to prove he's not lying.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. If I were in Deavan's shoes, I think I might do the same thing. Look, it's not about the $3,000. It's about proving that you aren't lying to me, because you say there's this money, you say it's in your mom's account. I need to see it right now. You need to transfer it right now to my account so I can see that you're not lying. And plus, it'll help me actually pay the bills, since you seem to not be capable of that.
I feel like I just ruined my life. I just ruined my kid's life, and I just want to crawl into a hole and disappear.
Yeah, I feel bad for Deavan. She is in another country. She can't communicate with anyone, really. She has 2 young children. She doesn't have a job. She gave up her job in the United States. She gave up all her connections. She's moving away from her family and friends. And now she is with her husband, who she can't trust, not only just by telling, she can't trust him to tell her the truth. He can't trust that he loves her enough. He can't trust that he's going to be able to earn any money for the family. He's basically said the reason why I took this job as a delivery person is because it allows me to take days off. Now, by the way, I didn't react to that, but there are a number of indications. I don't know, but there's a possibility that he suffers from depression. And often dependent personality and depression go hand in hand for sure. When you have a domineering parent or an anxious parent or both, and you grow up in that environment, one, you believe that you can't do anything on your own and you need to depend on other people and you're incompetent. But you also will get depressed because it's demoralizing to think of yourself as a failure all the time. So I wonder, there's really no data beyond a little bit, but he says that he gets this delivery job so that he can, I think, so he can take days off because I think he works when he wants to. And maybe he has some really bad days with his moods so that he stays home during those times. I don't know. But I feel really bad for Deavan. She's in a bad position. But also I feel bad for both of them, honestly. I think they're both suffering from his issues. And his issues seem to have been created in the parenting of the mother. I'm not quite sure, but it's a strong hypothesis at this point.
I'm doing this for our son. Okay.
I love you.
I love you too. Please don't wake him up. Please don't wake him up.
I feel so sad because Deavan doesn't believe me, trust me. But I understand. But sad. But I understand.
As always, I want to point out healthy behavior when I see it, that even though we wouldn't commend him for making the mistakes he's made or lying, he says that she doesn't trust me. I'm sad about that, but I understand. A lot of cast members do not have that kind of differentiation or that kind of maturity to say that. To say, look, I get why she doesn't trust me, and then it makes me sad. So I think that's a very healthy place to start. I don't know if I showed the clip, but they decided that they were going to have a joint bank account and that his money was going to go into their joint bank account so that she would be able to budget more. I think that's a good move, and we'll see if that works. I think it could. I very well think it could.
All my fault. I feel like guilty.
Jihoon relies on his parents to just give him everything he wants, and he's just been too spoiled his whole life. But he has a family now, and they need to stop enabling him.
All right, interesting. So we're hearing from Deavan that, according to her, the parents have been coddling him, which is another breeding ground for dependent personality. Now, we also look at different cultures and see that in Korea and other countries, other cultures, it's not uncommon for kids to live with their parents indefinitely. I know in various communities around the world that it is unusual for the kids, particularly maybe the oldest kid or the young, different practices. But it's not unusual for Korean 30-year-olds who aren't married to still be living with their parents, or even if they are married. So we don't want to just look at that. I don't know if Deavan's looking at that, but I'm assuming that Deavan's looking at a lot of behaviors, not just the fact that he was living with the parents, that the parents would pick up after him a lot, would do his laundry, would put his money aside and save money for him instead of saying, look, you got to learn how to budget for yourself. Maybe telling him what to do a lot of times instead of letting him make his own life. So it's another data point for dependent personality.
What I would like to see in the future is for Jihoon to put in as much effort as my daughter.
그러니까 너에 대해서만 얘기를 하니까 엄마는 여기서.
So the mom exhibits a lot of seemingly contradictory behavior where she will shame Jihoon for having emotions. She will control the husband. I'm basing it on very little data. But also she will often, I don't show all these clips, be angry at Deavan and the mom for pressuring Jihoon. Now, on one hand, that's good. The mom is protecting her son, is wanting her son to be okay. But on the other hand, that might also contribute to dependent personality. When you as a parent are overprotective of your children, you don't allow them to experience consequences from the world. A classic example of this is a 6-year-old at school is misbehaving, or a 6th grader is misbehaving at school, and the school calls up and says, your kid actually is presenting some behavioral problems, and the parent just assumes that the school is wrong. And sometimes the school is wrong, but let's go with the situation where the school is not wrong. And the parent, by default, will say, no, my kid is good, you're bad. And the message it gives to the kid and the situation it sets up for the kid is not experiencing the world. They're protected from the world by their parents. And so the kid never really learns how to interface with the world and how to gain their own competence in the world because the mom is always there. Now, there's age appropriateness to this. If you have a 3-year-old who is experiencing some behavioral problems at a daycare, for example, and the daycare owner is trying to discipline the kid and it's not working, and the parent steps in and says, hey, my kid's kind of rambunctious, but he's only 3 years old. So sometimes that's a good thing. You want to intervene because a 3-year-old, it's hard to modify behavior of a 3-year-old is the thing. It's hard to do that. But it shouldn't be super hard to modify behavior of a 6th grader who is capable of having their behavior modified. Some kids have ADHD or some other issue that makes it so it's very hard for them to modify their behavior because their brains are different. But assuming that Jihoon doesn't have something like that, which we don't know, it'd be interesting to know if the mom had a policy of protecting Jihoon from the outside world, controlling him while putting him down. That's a breeding ground for dependent personality and for low self-esteem, lack of connection to the self, and depression.
나는 아빠가 필요로 하는 엄마라는 걸 모두가 이해하기를 원하고 조금 뒤로 머물기 위해 양쪽에 조부모가 필요하다.
그렇게 해주면 너무 행복하죠. 저희는 그러길 바라고.
Oh, I'm so happy to do that.
All right, good. So the two of them are communicating, I guess particularly to the mom, that they need them to back off a little bit so they can do things on their own and learn how to be adults. And everyone's on board with that. So we don't often see that as well. There's a lot of conflict that we see in situations like this, but everyone's on the same page, which is exactly what needs to happen. Now, the next step is that Jihoon needs to have successes, little successes, that he can start to see, okay, look, I can do this. I'm not a failure. I can succeed. And every little bit will tell him that he is competent and that he is capable. And obviously that will benefit Deavan as well.
You're too heavy.
I have to sit down.
Why don't you guys do it? I gotta grab my bag.
Okay. Oh.
Junie, grab Drusilla. Hurry. Drusilla, stay over here. Stop now! Stop! 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 Stop!
Oh, yeah. I mean, scary situation. I assume everything's okay. But I'm guessing this is going to get blamed on Joon-hee, and maybe he is to blame for this. Yikes. I hope Drusilla's okay. Let's watch.
Next.
All right, they're going to make us wait till next time. All right, well, that does it for that episode. If you didn't know already, I have a Cameo, and we also have merch, and you can use the links below to find that. There's a lot of wonderful opportunities there to engage with the podcast and the YouTube channel. I actually wear a lot of the merch myself. I really like them. I like the shirts. They're comfy. And they have good messages, like Be the Corn. I don't know if that one's out yet, but that one might be out. Anyway, everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.